Square, let's go. I heard that we here in the Howard Square, let's go. I heard that we here in the Times Square, let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go.
Hello and welcome to the MKH Podcast. I am your host, Maximilian Hill, and today we have a very special guest. Usama Young is a former Super Bowl champion and professional athlete. He's the president of the Believe in You Foundation, and these days he works in player engagement at the National Football League, supporting NFL athletes in terms of financial literacy, professional development, and personal development. Usama, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. How are you today?
I'm doing well, Max. Thank you for having me. It's been a long time coming.
It's been a long time. Great mutual friend, Clarence Lee. Shout out to Clarence. Hope you're watching. So, really busy time for the National Football League. Yesterday, we had two pretty awesome games. As a Giant fan, it was really sad for me to see Saquon Barkley just running all over the field. And not surprised to see Patrick Mahomes and crew punch their ticket to another Super Bowl. So, just would love your thoughts on the games yesterday and what you think about the upcoming Super Bowl.
I'll be short on my breakdown of the games, man. And I pray for you and several Giants fans. I know they're going through it right now. But I'll be short on that because it's what the NFL is, man. It's competitive. You're going to watch games. Some of them are going to shock you. It's going to be some of the best plays you watch, the most exciting. And when I think about what we saw in championship weekend last week, it's one of those things that just adds up to the end. This is the end of the season. It's about to be another amazing Super Bowl, and you got two of the best teams going at it, which of course that's what we want. So it's fun to watch. Of course, it would have been nice to, see a Beltway Bowl, being that I'm from the DMV, the DC area, but they weren't able to make it, and now we got two of the best quarterbacks, great offenses and defenses are about to clash.
Yeah. So this year's Super Bowl is in your old stomping grounds in New Orleans, right? Which I think that was the first team that you broke in with, right? The New
Yes.
Orleans Saints, right? As
Yep.
a defensive back. So let's take a trip down memory lane. It's just after the NFC Championship in Super Bowl, I think it was 44.
Yes.
And now you're playing the Super Bowl. So you got 2 weeks to prepare. What's going through your mind? And also, how did you deal with the pressure that comes with being on a stage that literally over 100 million people are going to be watching, and there's so much at stake? How do you manage that level of pressure?
I'll be honest. I didn't really look at that. I didn't really think about all the pressure. So to take a step back, I was fortunate to get drafted to the Saints, and I came out of Kent State University, not a major school, not one that really has a lot of guys that do go on to go into the NFL. But I was fortunate to be drafted to the New Orleans Saints because that's the place that birthed my professional football experience. And when I say experience, it truly is that. My parents got to experience so much from it. My brothers, all of my family, all of my friends, going to games, watching me play, cheering on Thanksgiving Day and just seeing me play in playoff games. Those were just experiences like no other. But for me, I came up with the mindset to never believe the hype. Don't believe the hype. Like, be in the moment and not necessarily think about all that everyone else is saying about you or is saying about your team, and just being in that moment. And that's what I've done throughout all of my football playing experience and now my professional experience in the corporate space. I don't believe the hype. I go in with the mindset to work, and I understand that preparation is what builds confidence. So when I was fortunate to look up in the crowd after we beat the Minnesota Vikings in the championship, and it was an amazing play by a close friend, teammate, brother, Tracy Porter, that sealed the deal, and then a kick from Garrett Hartley. I looked up in the crowd and just saw everyone hugging, everyone embracing one another, crying tears of joy. And then I looked at my team and we celebrated together. And going into the Super Bowl mindset, it's like we're here. We put in all of this work from training camp and in the heat, Millsaps College in Jackson, Mississippi. It was hotter than New Orleans there in July and August. And to be able to say we're going to South Beach and playing in Super Bowl 44 against the Indianapolis Colts, Peyton Manning, I
Peyton Manning,
mean,
yeah.
it was an amazing just thought. And now I'm sorry, it was a dream. But then you're here and you're like, okay, it's time to get it. You step out on the field and all the preparation that comes into play now.
I was listening to Tom Brady announce the game yesterday, and he said, you get on this stage and, there's a lot of excitement, anticipation. He's like, but once you get there, he's like, it's just like another game, you
And,
know? And
yeah.
he's like, once you get in the rhythm, he says it feels just like another game. And
Mhm.
you don't even think about the fact that there's 100 million people watching.
Nah. I mean, Tom Brady, I mentioned Peyton Manning, Drew Brees. I mean, those were quarterbacks that were at the top of their game when I was playing. And I know their level of knowledge, their level of experience, their level of pressure that a quarterback has to take on is different than mine. Not to say that it's a greater need for them to perform, but all eyes are on them every play. And as a defensive back, I always imagined that all eyes were on me and I just wanted to perform, but it wasn't a level of extra because we're in the Super Bowl now. But when you step out on that field, yeah, the grass looks greener, the lights shine brighter, but as soon as that ball snapped, it's the same game we've come up playing.
Yeah. You mentioned Kent State and being fortunate to get drafted into NFL, and that made me think of maybe a question the audience might like. Some of our students are trying to break into the tech world, and they are students at what's considered like a non-target school. So what that typically means, it's not your Harvard, it's not your NYU, right? Um, so how did you? I guess, did you have a chip on your shoulder when you came in? You're like, all right, I didn't play maybe at Notre Dame or USC, but did that motivate you? I mean, I'm not trying to say anything bad about Kent State, but I just would like to get your insights onto how that, if that motivated you at all.
Nah, man, you're not uh slighting Kent State at all.
Yeah,
And the reality is the reality.
yeah.
But the chip on my shoulder started before Kent State. I'm little brother. I got five older brothers that always used to beat me up and beat me in all types of competitions, whether it was football, baseball, basketball, running, video games, anything. We competed. And since I'm the little bro, I usually lost. But when I got to high school, I started to see that I was catching up to my bigger bros. And I didn't go to a powerhouse. I went to Largo High School in the suburbs of PG County, Maryland. And Largo is not one that a lot of folks go to Division I schools and play football. So there, I immediately wanted to say that, or I wanted to prove that I was better than the guys that were playing at DeMatha, that were playing at Roosevelt, that were playing at Suitland and other schools that had some other bigger names that were coming out of there. When I got the chance, man, I just wanted to show out. And I worked way harder. At least that's what I thought. I worked way harder than everyone else. Anytime there was a practice, I made sure I was there early. Anytime there was a practice, I made sure I stayed later. When it came to preparing and studying, I just put in extra time and always tried to build up those around me as well. But that attitude, it went to Kent State too. So when I got to Kent State and we were playing against the likes of Pittsburgh or Penn State or Minnesota, Michigan State, when we're playing those teams, I wanted to show that not only did I belong, but I would thrive there. So any chance I got, whether it was from high school to college and then later on making it to the NFL, I wanted to prove that I belong from the start. And that chip, it just grew bigger and bigger at each level. And the doubters will continue. But again, I try not to listen to all that noise in the background and just show out every time I stepped on the field.
You obviously former professional athlete, so you believer in fitness. I see on LinkedIn all these days you keep posting these stories about you're out there running. Um, Tell us about your running regimen.
So the running regimen, it started pretty randomly. I got talked into running the New York City Marathon some years ago, and it wasn't like, hey man, just come and run it. No, it was a group called Right to Play, and that a good friend of mine, Lorenzo Smith, he was supporting, and he said, hey, come run. Right to Play is doing some amazing things in the community. You should support them. We can raise money for it. And I said, all right, let's do it. I had never ran longer than a mile before that. And the miles were very, very few and far between. So I came up as a sprinter. I tried it out. I said, you know what? I'm going to try and train for this marathon. And the longest run I got before that marathon was around 11. It was between 11 to 14 miles. And then I hurt my foot. And I said, man, I can't train anymore. I'm just gonna have to push through this thing come race day. And I went through on marathon Sunday in New York and I ran the New York City Marathon. I was cramping up. My feet felt like they were on fire. My body felt like it was about to give out. But I said, you know what? Throughout this run, it was just therapeutic. Hearing the folks cheer and then those bouts of silence, just hearing your feet hit the ground, and then sometimes listening to music. Like I just was in a therapeutic state during that first marathon. I stepped away from it for some time. I was no longer running for a couple months, and then I said, you know what? I'm gonna get back out here and run. And when I ran, I ran about 3 to 5 miles. It was a shakeout run, and I was with a friend of mine who I briefly trained with, and I said, you know what, let's get a video real quick and just talk about our thoughts. And so I ran the 3 miles, and then I shared a quick video, just inspiring video. And after I did that, it's like I'm gonna post it on YouTube or whatever social media channel it was. The funny thing about it was it started just randomly, like I said, but then I also said I've got two little ones that I would love for them to have a catalog of videos that
Yeah.
talk about what I love, what I care about, and some of my values and my passions, and even some pain points that I deal with. And so I started putting those videos together with the runs, and I don't even know what day I'm on right now. I know I'm probably around 1100 or 1200 in a row, and I'm enjoying it. Every day I'll get up and I'll run 3 miles, 3 to 5. Uh, on a weekend I might go a little further and go 7 to 10, but for the most part I just run and it's like a Forrest Gump moment. I just kept running. But
Great
but
movie.
but the cool part about it is afterward, it's just a opportunity for me to clear my head and provide whatever thoughts that are on my mind and share them with whoever wants to see them.
I love seeing them. And
I'll make sure to get one today because I had an early flight here and I have not ran yet. So I'm going to probably get an evening run in before I knock out. But yeah, it's usually in the mornings. But if I miss my morning run, I get it in the evening. I just make sure I get one in every day.
that's great. I love seeing the videos. I think these days videos are so powerful in this weird social media world that we live in. And
Yes.
I keep posting them because I know I like them. I know people that I know like them. So thank you for sharing those.
Right.
Personally, I've been doing a lot of swimming lately.
Okay.
Um, and that's kind of where I get I guess my fitness. But I do have a question from a student.
Okay.
How do you maintain motivation over long periods of difficult work?
Man. I'm in a long period of difficult work right now. So I know I haven't shared too much about what I do, but I work in player engagement at the NFL. And we have bouts throughout the year where times really pick up, but we really don't have too many periods when it is down. And of course, when you hear me talk about it, hey, you're going to Pro Bowl, you're going to Super Bowl, you're going to Combine, you're going to draft. You're like, oh, wow, these are amazing events, right? Well, it's a challenge to put on these events to provide support, to constantly be on. And it's tough, but I always think about the bigger picture and I always think this isn't about me. This is about everyone else. And then I take a step back and I say, you know what, from the individual standpoint, if I'm supporting some of these professional athletes that are at the top of their years right now, athletically, and I'm able to pour in something positive to them that they're going to share with others, think about how that gift is growing exponentially. So for me, when it's tough, when I don't feel like getting on a call, when it's late, I'm on the East Coast and the West Coast folks want to talk, or it's early, folks internationally, further east, they want to talk. I got to get ready. I got to be up. And I got to think, you know what? As uncomfortable as it is, I'm making a big difference for so many others doing the work that I do. Now, I'll equate this back to when I was a student as well. As a student athlete, it was times when I did not want to go to class. It was times when I didn't want to study or I was just struggling. Well, the one thing I did, and it wasn't just self motivated, I partnered with someone that was stronger than me or had levels of knowledge that I wanted to get at. I wanted to gain that level of experience. Or I had this study buddy, a teammate of mine. My guy Jake, we used to partner up pretty regularly and study together. And if we set a time, that added to a level of accountability for me to be there at that time. Now, if I set it by myself, it's potential. It's a potential chance that I'm gonna probably put that off, or I'll push it back a day when I don't feel like it. But
Mhm.
being that I had this guy that I was working with, you know what? I can't let him down. I signed up for this. I got to be there. I got to push through. Those were two techniques that I do. I put myself in position and say, you know what? This is bigger than me. And the second one is I sign on with someone else that can uplift me, and I can uplift them if need be.
Yeah. Having people hold you accountable, I think, very powerful strategy for sure. So you mentioned your work in NFL player engagement, and I think for a lot of us who never made it to the NFL, a lot of people see it's, the money, all this and that, but I think most people think of like Tom Brady, they think of Peyton, they think of Patrick Mahomes, and I tell people those are the exceptions, right?
Absolutely.
Most of the guys don't blow up that big. But even still, for those guys, it's a lot of money at a young age. And there's so much talk about these days about financial literacy, not just for NFL players or professional athletes, but for everyone. But I can only imagine how, for a lot of those guys, like $1 million, $500,000, $3 million in your early 20s, right? That's hard to handle. That's a lot of money to handle. Um,
Right.
and when, unfortunately, NFL careers are very short, because it's such a, impact violent game, um, you know, so tell me about your work helping players transition, I guess, from the NFL and, how you educate them with financial literacy and all that.
But I won't go in too much depth there, but yes, you're speaking facts. The NFL, some would jokingly say it stands for not for long. Some would, point out the fact that contracts aren't guaranteed and guys do retire at a very young age. And that's true. From a league standpoint, we provide support and education to the players as soon as they get in. So as rookies, they come in and we put together a curriculum that is going to educate them on budgeting, on taxes, credit, and investing. Now, those are your building blocks. But the one thing that I always share with people is just because you have the information doesn't mean that you always utilize it. The same way as students, we can all sit in the same class, but everyone isn't learning at the same rate as everyone else. Some things are going past and some are going over my head, some are going over your head and so forth. But we've got to be diligent and not just leave it at that. So we provide support to guys when they first enter the league and as they go through their transitions throughout the league as well.
No, I think that's wonderful work that you're doing. Very important work. Um, you also, I saw on your LinkedIn profile, you're a public speaker.
Yeah.
So one of the things that we try to get our students to do is to learn about public speaking because it's such a valuable skill. And whether you want to be in tech, whether you want to be a professional athlete, whether you want to be a lawyer or whatever. So tell us about your experiences public speaking, and do you have any tips for not just our students, but anyone who's watching this? How can they become stronger public speakers?
Practice. That would be the first thing I'd say. And not in order, but the first thing I'll say is practice. The other thing is being yourself. I know a lot of folks, they think, hey, I got a story to tell, which is probably true. I can do this easily, or I can just step out and wing it. That was probably one of my first mistakes earlier on. I was still playing the game at a high level, and I went out and I spoke, and I knew I could just share my story, and I was going to crush it. And this is for some high school students. I didn't really get too nervous about it. I just was like, yeah, they go and feel me. And afterward, one of the coaches or teachers said, I could tell you just wing that. And I said, oh my goodness. Dang, that's the worst right there. And I didn't think anything of it at the time, but that was a lack of professionalism right there. So knowing who you are, being true to who you are, and practicing is huge. Something that I do, I write out what I'm going to talk about. I bullet everything, and then I practice in the mirror. Sometimes I get a focus group of a few individuals, and I'll practice for them. They'll provide me with some criticism, sometimes some positive feedback, sometimes, hey, you need to add in here, or you need to dive a little deeper here. But a lot of times those are moments where I'm able to build confidence because these are individuals that are going to keep it real with me. And then when I get out in the public, I can do my thing. Um, the other thing that I'll share is that some people don't feel comfortable in crowds. The more you do it, the more comfortable you get. And I'm not saying that ultimately you will be, because I still get nervous. It's
Yeah.
like playing football for me. Every time I played ball, I got nervous before I stepped on the field, before the first play. Once I made that first hit, or once the first snap happened of running down on kickoff or kick return, all right, the butterflies are gone. I'm good to go. But embracing that, and now I say I get nervous because I care so much. There's nothing wrong with nerves. Embrace the nerves. Think of it as a positive thing and just go out and put your all into it.
Yeah, I think definitely preparation is key. That's helped me become a better presenter. And if, yeah, you got to feel like yourself. You have to feel comfortable up there. That's what I've learned for sure.
Mhm.
So tell us a little bit about the Believe in You Foundation, which I think you are the president of, correct?
Yes,
And it's a foundation that focuses on mentorship and volunteering, correct?
yes, yes. So it's cool. It's cool because Believe in You started amongst conversation with one of my college teammates. Barry, we were talking about my foundation. It was initially called the Usama Young Youth Foundation. And we were doing exactly that. We were mentoring and volunteering. Well, I got on the line with Barry and I said, man, I'm always telling these young people I believe in them. I believe in them. I believe in them. And I know I see that light go off. I see that spark when I tell them that. And he said, man, how about believe in you? It's a play on your name, but it's also sharing the message that you share with them. So hence believe in you. We started in 2009, and we've been mentoring young people for 16 years now. We have a cohort right now that is pretty cool. It's a small group of students from New Orleans, Atlanta, DC, PG County, and Charlotte. And these are students that are achieving in their field of sport, but also in the classroom. Their head coaches and athletic directors have recommended them, and we get on biweekly calls and we talk about life. The series is called Life Lessons in Leadership, and we get on. We talk specifically about how we lead. We talk about the lessons that we've learned, and we talk about life and how it's unfolding right in front of our eyes and how we can be a huge uh, individual and how positive we can shine our light on others. When I think about that group, it makes me proud because I was once one of those young leaders that had guidance, but it wasn't really formalized. I had different individuals that I looked up to, including my brothers. But now they've got a group that, is going to speak to them regularly. They can share some of their tough times with, and we can also, just have fun and enjoy. But we also focus on conflict resolution as well. So sometimes you got some bouts, some experiences that we might want to handle differently, or we could have handled differently, and we've got to strategize on how we deal with that. So we provide them with tools on how to deal with conflict as well.
Yeah, conflict resolution, very important skill. I mean, in any industry, because I think,
Yes.
especially if you're in competitive field, I think you're
Mhm.
always going to run into that. But I want to go back to Super Bowl 44 a little bit. Um, any interesting stories from that day, from the game, or maybe the preparation, in the hours leading up to it that really stood out or that you might like to share?
Man, got a lot of stories. Ones that I'll share specifically with you. Um, First off, man, it didn't go great for me. You know, it didn't go great for me. I remembered Jabari Greer. He got hurt in the game. He like dislocated a finger or something. And I was a backup safety slash corner at the time. And as soon as Jabari showed that he was hurt and he was kind of, staggering off the field slowly, I ran on. I was like, let's go. It's my time to shine. I've been on special teams. I've been making some tackles on kickoff and punting everything. But man, when I got my chance to get out there and line up at corner, I jumped at it. I go out and immediately, the coach Peyton Manning takes center and he gets under the center and I'm in a man-to-man coverage. I got some help from my safety, so I align with my safety. And as soon as I look over to see Peyton in his cadence, he snaps the ball. And if you know cornerback, you got to have your eyes on the man. He snaps the ball, and I don't have my eyes on the man. The man loses me on the line at the line of scrimmage. I'm like, no. I'm in trail mode. I missed my jam. Touchdown. This was a moment that I share when I do my public speaking, and I go in a little more detail than I just gave you. But that moment right there to give up a touchdown, whether it was any game, it hurts. But in the Super Bowl, like you talked about earlier, where you got millions watching and the lights are shining brighter, oh man, I wanted to just hide. I wanted to dig myself right up under the dirt. Nobody could see. I just wanted to,
There's no
yeah.
shame though in getting beat by Peyton Manning. No shame,
This
none.
is true. This
He,
is true. You're
I
right.
mean, that's what he did
But
for like 20 years.
it still hurts, man. It still hurts. But the best part about this story is I went back to my sideline and my teammates, my defensive back, some of the offensive guys, they came up to me and they're like, it's all good. We got you. Hey, man, hey, look, keep your head up, bro. Come on. Hey, it's a lot of game to be played. We got you. And I'm just like, all right, yeah, you're right. You're right. It's one play. And next thing you know, we go back out there and we come in from the half. We get the onside kick, and you know the rest of the story. But it's something that I always talk about because it's ups and downs throughout our journey. And in that moment, oh my goodness, it was probably one of the lowest moments in the field of play that I had experienced, especially on the biggest stage, but can't stay down. And the
All's
one
and
thing,
all's well that ends well too, right?
absolutely, absolutely. We ended up winning that thing. And still in that moment, I think about that because I get to share, hey, look, even the best go through it. And like you said, we're all professionals. You're playing against one of the best. but that's still no excuse. Because like I said, I always had that chip on my shoulder, and I always wanted to show, hey, I belong. Now, of course, later on down the line, I picked them all, but that wasn't in the Super Bowl, though. You know what I mean? So those moments, it's kind of like, hey, you get over that and you go on to the next one. So that's my quick story, Super Bowl story. I've got several more, but I wanted to keep it in a lesson mode.
Yeah. Understood. Usama, I think that's all the time that we got for today. So if anyone wants to check out Usama, connect with him on LinkedIn. And if you're interested in learning more about the Believe in You Foundation, they can visit Believe in You, that's you, the letter, believeinyou.org, correct?
Yes.
All right, Usama, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. We really appreciate your time. Enjoy your time in New Orleans. I'm sure it'll be nice to be
Nolans.
back
That's how
there.
they
New
say it. That's
Orleans.
how they
New
say it.
Orleans.
Nolans.
New Orleans. Yeah, I had a great time in New Orleans many years ago. But enjoy the Super Bowl and be well. Tell Clarence I said hello, okay?
Yeah, it's good seeing you again, Max. Appreciate you, man.
All right, Usama, thank you.
Thank you. Later.
Yo, I heard that we hitting that 42nd, let's go. I heard that we hitting that 34th, let's go. I heard that we hitting that 14th, let's go. Let's go, let's go, let's go. What? I heard that we hitting that Union Square, let's go. I heard that we hitting that Howard Square, let's go. I heard that we hitting that Times Square, let's go, let's go, let's go.